Welcome back to another episode of Evolving Through Experience, where we discussing growth in every aspect, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and beyond. Yo, today, guys, we have a very special episode. Obviously, as y'all know, all my guests are special, but this one is definitely going to be a very therapeutic episode that many of us need, far and near. And I'm really looking forward to this episode, and I think a lot of people is going to definitely benefit from this episode. And actually, I'm not even going to say I think, I know a lot of people are going to benefit from this episode. So without further ado, before I introduce my guest, I just want to shout out V, my guy Von Keith. Roger, how you feeling, man?
Feeling amazing, brother.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure to have you. It's a pleasure to have you,
brother. Thank you.
For sure. Man, you obviously know V connected us recently, and just hearing your story was like very, very touching, and I think a lot of people really need to hear this, and we're going to cover it all, man, because there's so much that we could talk about. Obviously, we already had a conversation, and even with that, it's so many other things that came up that I know definitely going to be helpful to people. So without further ado, I'm going to let you just introduce yourself, let people know a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to dive right in.
Cool. Hey, Darrell, nice to meet you, brother, man. I know we played phone tag,
Yeah.
we text, email, call, phone call
Yeah.
again. You got your guys. We're going to make this thing happen, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank you for allowing me to share my story with you and your audience, man. So basically, Roger House, you know, good old brother, man, grew up in Montgomery, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Parents were married for 56 years, 1,200 square feet house, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Very poor family, whole lot of rules, whole lot of love, man. The things about, hey, you know, back in those days, what went on in your house, you stayed in your house, man. So I grew up in Montgomery, went to college, man, you know, spent our ROTC program, spent 20 years in the Navy as an officer, retired from the Navy 2003, moved to Atlanta, so shout out to the A, been living here for 20 years. Moved here, man, first job I had, I was working for the state of Georgia. Not the best job ever, but I survived there 13 months. Went on this company by the name of Axon Corporation, hired me, brother, come and be a business development guy for them. Did BD, sales, marketing, lived 2 weeks in Atlanta, 2 weeks in Washington, D.C. Did that for 8 years. February 1st, 2007, the previous owner sold me the company. I purchased the company, man, from him.
Don't tell him you just yet on that one. I got something for that.
Yeah. And then
that's
brought other brothers in and people in, man, who, you know, the whole thing about life, man, is got to talk to people. Trust, access, like, and know. The T stand for trust, the A stand for access, the L stand for light, and the K stand for know. It's all about really knowing somebody, knowing yourself, man. So I could got to talk like we're doing this moment. We're going to talk about some things, man, get there. Married, got 3 daughters, ages 30, 27, 12-year-old, man, and just trying to be the best dad I can be. But first, being the best person I can be, man. After finding out who I truly am, and being the best person I can be, and sharing my story, man, being transparent, being vulnerable. Thing I've learned, man, that I was in the world I was in because of different things that went on in my childhood that I never got help for.
Yeah.
You know, at different ages, we're going to get to that and stuff.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I'm just happy to be here. It's who I am, man. Just a regular guy. Nothing fancy about me. Trying to be transparent and vulnerable, and I finally found myself. I'm finally at peace. 57 years old, brother. Be 58. Christmas this year, be 58. But 57 years old, man, and, you know, finally at peace in my life.
Yeah.
The last 3 years, I'm 3 years sober today. 3 years sober today. Yeah,
we're going to talk about that sober, too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got a list of questions, and we're just going to have a dialogue. And before we even start, I just want you to know, and obviously my audience already know, this is a judgment-free zone. And at the end of the day, one of my favorite quotes, as I already told you, is everybody's a saint when they're speaking on somebody else's sins. So regardless what scale people want to put it on, like I said, this is a judgment-free zone. Anybody that's watching it, understand it's judgment-free because, again, that's how we are able to evolve in the first place. We got to have these dialogues, have these conversations that are, quote-unquote, hard to have, but are necessary to have. They're needed. So without further ado, bro, I want to start from the beginning. Like you said, I know that what happened at 3 and 9, if I'm not mistaken.
5 and 9.
Five
Yep.
and 9.
Yep.
So let's start there. We starting from the childhood, and we're gonna work our way up.
Yeah, man. Greatest thing. This thing about rehab, I was telling you earlier, man. You talk about your timeline. They talk about how did I get here.
Correct.
How did my life get to me? What I did to get me to rehab. And they talk about the top 10 dramatic things happen in your life, whether they're good things or bad things, and you do your timeline. And so once you do that timeline, now, because you remember I was the last guy to get to this rehab house in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, brother. You know, so all these guys have been friends, been there. So now they got to accept me.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Darrell, man, I was the only brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so add that to
Yeah.
it. So at the age of 5, I suffered childhood sexual abuse from my older male cousin,
Mm-hmm.
age of 5. You know, never told anybody, never told my parents, never shared it with anybody, man, because in those days, you know, like what went on in your house stayed in your house.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and also as predators, man, they have a way to make you feel like if you tell somebody, nobody's gonna believe you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so imagine being 5 years old and you're going through childhood sexual assault from an older male cousin,
Correct.
right? Dealt with that, man, from the ages 5 to about 6 or 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, he just stopped, you know, doing it. And I remember it, man, my parents and grandparents would be over in the house next door.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandparent, he'll you know, get me to come over to his house next door and, you know, sexual assault me and stuff, right? Never told him I dealt with it. So I masked that.
Yeah.
Then you move on now. My next encounter as a child, I was 9 years old. I suffered childhood sexual abuse from my older female neighbor. And you know, man, it's things that you shouldn't do. And so it had me doing things that you shouldn't be knowing how to do as a 9-year-old little boy. You should be out playing football, baseball, basketball. And the way that she would get me to come down to her house, once again, saying being raised poor, she would cook beans or something on a hot plate and feed me to get me down there and make me do all types of things that you should know how to do as a 9-year-old boy. So now you move forward. So I masked those things, man. You know, I masked those things all my life now. Like, you know what? I'm never going to get treated like that again. This is never going to happen to me again. I'm going to be the best of everything. I'm going to be the best in sports. I'm going to be the best in school. And I equated back to, bruh, I'm not going to be poor. Because my rationale thinking back then, this only happened to poor people, which is not true. And people didn't know that's not true. It happened whether you rich, poor, black, white, Asian, Latino, male, female, whatever it might be. Predators are predators, man. And I learned all this, man, by going to rehab, by going to get the help I needed, because in African-American and black families, man, these are the things we don't talk about, bro, especially as brothers, man. Because, like you said, the judgment, the guilt, the vulnerability. You know, like, man, how am I? So with me, I equated all this Darrell brother to like being poor, being black, and that's not the case. So as a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, that's how you think. Especially when you don't have that platform to go share express it with anyone. And then you've been told all your life, God bless my parents, man. Had some amazing parents. But it's the old adage of what goes on the house's house stays in the house's house. You know. So I had no outlet, man. So I just knew that I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna make all the money I can make. I'm gonna be the best of everything, because I'm gonna make sure no one has a chance to treat me like that again or make me do something I don't want to do. So, check.
Man, first, I just commend you for even honestly saying that. I know you said it to us, but just saying it out loud even again and allowing other people to hear this, I commend you. So with that being said, with that, any point did you blame yourself? I know you obviously blamed it on being poor at that time. That's how you thought. But during these acts from 5 and even at 9, did you ever blame yourself?
Brothers, man, I blame myself up until I went to rehab. I blame myself, as most people are going to do that. Hey, it's my fault. I didn't do something right. Why me? Why do I deserve to get treated like that? Why did this happen to me? That's what happens. Maybe we blame ourselves for a lot of things when you don't know anybody, had nothing to do with me. And Brett took me until I went to rehab when I was 55 years old. I think 54, 55 years old. And it took me going to rehab to be realizing, bruh, it's not my fault.
Correct.
You know, and also I work in this every day still. My therapist sets with my therapist, man. Every week I talk to 3 different therapists, you know, still. And the thing, bro, about them telling Raj, you got to forgive yourself. A lot of things I haven't forgiven myself. And so it's all my fault, you know. So yeah, bro, that's spot on, man.
For sure. And the reason I asked that, because I knew whatever your answer was going to be, it was going to be your right answer for you. But I think that could also help somebody else right now, maybe a young child or a teen that's 15 and this happening to them at 5, 9 or whatever age under. And now they can know from your experience and hearing your words, don't blame yourself. And I think that could start that healing journey now for them. So that's the reason I asked that. At what point did you tell your family, like obviously before rehab, obviously before you got older as an adult, did you ever come out and tell a family member? Did they believe you? Like, I want to talk about that, because I think that'll also help people that's in those same situations right now, how the best way to navigate it.
Darrell, for me, bro, I never told my family until I went to rehab. When I got out of rehab, you know, my parents passed away. My mom in 2000, my dad 2008. I never told any of my siblings, brother, until I got out of rehab. They had no idea.
Yeah.
Never shared it. When I was in rehab, I was thinking, man, how many other people
Did that happen?
did it happen to?
Yeah.
How many other people did he or she do this to?
Mm-hmm.
Well, couldn't find out as I talked to my brothers about it, my sister, nobody, just me.
Mm.
Which I was went back to think like, wow, why me?
Yeah.
But I never told anyone in my family, never shared that story, kept them all, mastered, brother, kept it
Yeah.
all locked in. That was my driving force in life,
For
man,
everything,
because for everything I did, it's on me.
Mhm.
Everything I accepted was on me.
Mhm.
And that was it was driving me for life, and I made a lot of bad decisions because of that.
Yeah.
But I never told anyone, brother. I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the know-how, and I didn't have the transparency. I didn't have the vulnerability to make sure it's going to be okay until I went to rehab. When I got out of rehab, I had a family meeting with my siblings. That's when I told them all.
Yeah.
It was a very emotional time.
Yeah, for sure. And I can only imagine I'm asking these questions because I wonder, obviously, I don't think we should live life with any regret. And I can't speak for nobody else but for me. So I wonder if you did tell them where your parents have believed you and what would that process have been, because it's somebody right now that's going through that and may need that push. Be like, yo, go tell your parents. Like, they will protect you. If it's the right parents, they will protect you and get to the bottom of it. And at the same time, I don't want parents to blame themselves, because that I can only imagine as a father, like, and I'm sure you can too, like you got daughters, but then I got a son. Not saying that's a difference because it's still trauma, but at the end of the day, I can only imagine my son coming to tell me that, how I would react. So, and I would want him to know, like, you could tell me anything, like something like that happened, I'm gonna probably blame myself, because I'm like, what the hell was I doing to not paying attention to who was watching my son or whatever. But at the same time, I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. So I just wonder if you ever thought about it from that perspective, where they wouldn't blame themselves for either.
There was great you said it. You and I talked about this earlier, man. Before we came in, we talked about the fact that you and Xavier talked about this. We were talking about there's a legal way to handle things. There's an emotional way, and the first thing that we're going to handle with emotions.
Yeah.
You and I talked about this emotions. So I think I had such a tough relationship with my dad because I thought, why was he there to protect me? So why was he there to make sure this happened to me? Because as a man, I feel, Roger House, it's our responsibility to protect our kids, protect our family. So I never told anybody. So my thing, I know for a fact, also I think like this, had I told my parents, they would have done something about it, especially my mom.
Yeah.
My mom's a beast, man. She's the best. So mom's a beast. She didn't play.
Yeah.
But my parents, Darrell, man, had so much on them. In my mind, I didn't want to bring something else to them.
Yeah.
Man, they got to put food on the table, man. They got to work.
Bills.
Got bills to pay. And, got to educate us and clothes. So my thing was, brother, is this worth going to my parents about, telling them about? And I also thought about the emotional piece of being such a young age. How would my parents react? What would this dynamic do to my family? So I held it in and took it on, man. And so the things I would tell kids today, as you just said, tell somebody.
Tell
somebody you trust. And then I'll advise that trusted person, try to handle it legally, not emotionally. Because we got to think about, now, even you and I talked about this. If someone did something to my daughters, I would kill them.
Yeah.
I would kill them. I would handle it my way, but the right way is to handle the legal way.
Yeah.
And I think in today's environment, man, as African-American families, as black families, man, families of color, man, we are smart enough now to know how to handle that, man. And I think kids now are different than a kid in 1970, 1975, because it's more talked about.
Correct. Yeah.
Even though in our community, man, we still feel that there's certain things we can't talk about.
Correct.
But I think kids are so much more advanced and smart than I was, as a 5-year-old kid and a 9-year-old kid. They know to go to their parents are that trusted adult. Like my daughter, she knows if something go down, she come to her dad.
Yeah.
Tell me, come to me. That's nothing you can't tell me. There's nothing we can't solve together because of those conversations. But my parents never had that conversation with me. And not blaming my parents. They was busy doing other things, food, shelter, bills, trying to educate us and everything. So it's different. But today, if something goes, I think kids know, and we have those conversations, like you had the conversation with your son. We have those conversations. It's okay to come and talk to me and tell me.
Correct.
Yeah.
And like I told you earlier, I commend the person that would handle it legally versus emotionally, because I know me, I would want to do both, but emotional definitely going to be taking the top task for it, because I feel like that's going to be the best way. So I would definitely commend anybody that's taking that step back but step forward at the same time to handle it legally versus going to blow somebody's brains out or whatever. But I think whoever any predators definitely get what they deserve to the full extent, but at the same time, with that, not justifying them at any capacity, it's also like let's check into that more, because what made you a predator? Was it a repetition of somebody doing that to you and you thinking this is the right way? So that's the other factor that I always think about. And not to say, I don't like to say playing devil's advocate, to play God's advocate. That's the other factor we can check into, because now, why are you a predator? Even though, because we want this cycle to stop. So let's find out how this even started in order to find out how to stop it. So I'm glad you said it as well. And just to be transparent on my own self, I'm glad you said, as far as you was like mad at your dad for some degree. You was like, why you wasn't there to protect me. I felt like that at a younger age too. I wasn't never really sexually assaulted as a young age, as far as I know of, but I know I was beaten repeatedly by a non-family member for peeing in the bed. And I'm like 4 or 5, like, kids pee in the bed. My son pee in the bed. I'm not tripping. I'd be mad, but I ain't beating him where he bleeding. So me having that experience, it was just like, I never said anything, because I just like, I don't know why I never said it to this day, truth be told. I said it now recently, but I never know why I didn't say it then. It was just like, I was a child. I just feel like it happens, and it's like, dang, I'm crying, and I'm at a whole different house. 3 hours later, I forgot all about that. I'm playing the game, eating a sandwich, playing, and it's like, I never tell my mom, and she never knew until later, like years later, and she probably found out maybe the last 4 years. And I'm 24 now, so she just found out. So I never wonder, and I always tell her, like, I don't want her to blame herself, but at the same time, I never blame my mom, but I kind of felt like I blamed my dad, because I feel like, as a father, and you're supposed to be my father, like, you should have been around more to know like what's going on. But at the same time, as a father now, I give him grace. I forgive him, because like, he wasn't around, but I don't. Even though I can say I feel like it was intentionally, that's a whole nother topic, but I don't blame him for that exact situation, if that makes sense. So I'm glad you said that. But my other question now, before we move on, is, at what point, if any, and there's no wrong or right answer, did you, after you forgave yourself, could you forgive them if you did?
I'm gonna back up. That's a great question, Darrell. So I'm gonna back up to something else too. Like, and I also maybe did a disservice to my older girls. Like, my older girls never went to sleepovers. Never. They never went to a sleepover, because I know what happened to me, so I don't trust people. And to this day, like, my 12-year-old, man, she don't really do sleepovers unless it's a family member, and because that's what happened to me. Yeah. And so it's like, so my thing, I went above and beyond of trying to be the best dad I can be, protecting them.
Overprotective too?
Overprotective, man. And so, and we talked about this a little bit, man. And so we see, well, my girls never had sleepovers. Even now, my 12-year-old, we argue back and forth about sleepovers, even at people's house and things. So I go, hey, 10:30 is the bedtime, I'll come pick you up. Yeah. You know, and it's because they understand what I went through, you know, what I dealt with, man. So it's being overprotective, man. And it's like, that cycle has to stop, man. Like me, I'm just like, even now, I share this with you. If my daughter have some of her girlfriends over, man, I make sure I disappear. Yeah, they can go in the basement, because I never want to get myself in a situation. You never know what's going on at someone else's house, or what someone else might say. Correct. And so I talk to some other friends of mine, man. I just disappear. Like, hey, my wife, you got it. It's a bunch of girls coming over, you know, 12, 13-year-olds. Yeah, you hang out with me, do your thing. I disappear. Correct. And because of that, to make sure you have no room for somebody to say something. Correct. You know, or assume, there you go, brother. Assume anything. So it's a double-edged sword, man. Being overprotective. I penalize my girls, but because what happened to me. On the forgiveness part, Darrell, man, I didn't learn to forgive them until I got the rehab. Yeah, but I carried this around forever, man. You know, 55 years, man. I learned to forgive because, man, of the pain that it caused me, man. And then after going to rehab, listening to my counselor, man, I was never going to be able to move on in my life until I forgive myself and forgive them. And there's still, I talk to my counselors, man, 2 or 3 different ones every week, you know, and still things that we work on, I got to forgive myself for. I haven't forgiven myself for to work on. Yeah. So it's tough, man. Yeah. It's tough, you know, because if you don't, you are trapped. Correct. Yeah. You are trapped, man. But it's a process, man. As we talked about, evolving through experiences, man. As you said, mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, evolving, man. It's a process, brother.
Yeah.
That's why your podcast is a hell of a name. It's a great name, man, because we got to evolve through the process and through the mindset, brother.
Facts. And, and like you said, it's a process. That's why I always left it at ing. I never said evolve through experience.
Yeah.
You don't evolve once and keep and just no longer need to evolve. So I'm glad you peeped that and caught that. And I want to ask this. I would say this. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be against if your other siblings stomp those people out, especially the older cousin. Like, because I feel like they need that. But and if they need help, just let me know.
Will do.
But long story short, no. But next, I want to transition from there. As far as what was the next step? Obviously, before we even get to rehab, now this is 9. I know you wanted to be the best at everything. So did you do college? You went to college and then you went to the Navy?
Yep.
Like, walk me through that process.
Yeah. So went to college on the Navy ROTC scholarship, man. Went to college, you know. Still same thing, man. Get to college. And I'm thinking about the fact that in my mind said Darrell back then, I'm going to be the best, man. I got to study hard. I'm here. Let's make this happen, man. College thing went well. Shout out to the Qs. You know, yesterday was Founders Day, you know, make us high five. Here we go. And so did that, man. Then joined the Navy. So now you join the Navy. You know how college is, man. You know, it's co-ed. You're having a good time. Doing what you have to do. Join the Navy, man. The Navy, you know, it was met some great people, man. Spent 8 years in Japan over there doing that thing. And so now I'm in the process now thinking about, hey, as I told you earlier, going back, I started being very sexual active because I wanted to deal with this process, make sure I'm not gay.
Yeah. And before we get to that, I got a few questions between that timeline there.
Yeah, okay. We'll get that. So then it was like, we'll get back to that. So did the Navy thing, man. 20 years in the Navy, retired as an officer in the Navy, man. Loved that, man. Had a great time. Some of my best friends today are people who I met in the Navy, you know. So I had a great time, man. Been stationed in Japan for 8 years, Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, Norfolk, Virginia. And some of the best people I met in my life, man, are guys who are still my friends today, guys and girls, men and women from the Navy, man. So the Navy was great for me, man. It kind of like, in a way, saved my life, you know. It gave me opportunities I wouldn't have had, gave me experiences, you know, as we evolving through experiences, man. And then once I retired from the Navy, you know, I was my second marriage now. My first wife and I got divorced, who was an amazing sister, man. My girls, my older girls, often say this to them, I'm more who they are because of her than because of me. Because she had that emotional connection, man. That emotional connection to me, I was the financial connection with. Not about money. We talked about this. Not about money and things, man. It's about having that emotional connection. So my girls know who they are because of their mom than because of me. You know, I was there, involved, full active dad and everything. So my whole thing about that, man, be involved in your kid's life. Nobody can stop from being an active dad, especially for us brothers, man. There are some great brothers out there, man, who was amazing dads. We don't get the plight and the conversations that we should get, but there's some amazing brothers out there, man, who's amazing dads and do some wonderful things with their children. Then after the Navy,
but before we get there, though, I got something. Before we even get there, because there's so much you said in there, and we're going to definitely dive into all of that. So as far as you, college now, let's start college. What made you join a fraternity?
I would say, man, for me, man, I wanted to be in a fraternity, man, that I want to be connected because I want to be in a group of like-minded men. I want to have people that I can have real relationships with, you know. So for me, it was about doing something good by doing good, man, being a part of something that's doing something great for our community, and being able to be a mentor and get mentored. That's my thing, bro.
Okay. Yeah. Got you. And I just wanted to ask that because I know people join for different reasons. So I wanted to know because I'm sure that it also played a part to you wanting to be the best at everything, being a part of something greater than yourself or whatever. So I wanted to ask that. So now after that, you said you went from college to the Navy, right?
To the Navy, yeah.
Okay. So for the Navy, so what made you decide the Navy after college though? What exactly made you decide that?
The Navy ROTC program.
Okay.
The Navy paid for my college.
Keep it going.
Yeah, keep it going, man. I had to keep it going.
Yeah.
Not that I wanted to.
Yeah. Because if you don't, you get that that discipline. That's what they call it, right? DP.
Yeah, man.
Get DP.
It was a contract I signed, brother, so I had to pay them back. And so I thought I'd do 3 or 4 years, man. And brother, I did 20 years, man.
Yeah.
20 years. 20 years. They sent me to undergrad, sent me to graduate school, man. So it was good for me. And I tell people all the time, if you don't have a plan or you don't really have a direction you want to go, and even if your parents, your family can't pay you to go to college, man, the military is a great way to go.
Yeah.
Whether you enlist whether you go to ROTC route, it's a great way to get what you want to get and get some discipline until you find out your direction.
Direction.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that because I want to go into that more. I know we obviously have the misconceptions. I never did any military or anything like that, but I have people in there. So as a black man, you know, it's a stigma. Like, how can you serve a country that obviously done us wrong? And that's just a fact. It's no way around it. So I want to ask you, what were some misconceptions and things that maybe you battled with yourself by joining this, knowing that at the same time how this country was brought about?
Yeah, I tell you, man, we all battle with that, man. And it's not fair.
Yeah.
We all battle with how this country treated us, you know, as black men. But also, man, the Navy, the military has great opportunities for us also. You know, paying for your college, give you leadership skills, give you management skill. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, use them for that, man. So I would say for me, man, it was a way out. You know, as you have people who go, I want a great athlete. You know, as you have people who get the opportunity to go to the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, what it might be. I knew that wasn't for me. So for me, as getting out of there, people say the hood, whatever it may be, that was my way out, man.
Correct.
That was my way of getting to college, man. That was my way of learning some different skills, man. And for me, I understand. It's tough in there. You know, where for black men, black women, people of color, man, it's tough. But you have to go back to, we talked about reach one, teach one, look out for each other, man. And it's also, man, if you do what you got to do, nobody can hold your blessings from you.
Correct.
You know, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
it's gonna be some. I had some dark days in there, man. I had some dark days in there.
Do you mind sharing those? Obviously, if you're comfortable.
I'll share this with you. So I'll share it with you. So most people don't know this. When I was in the Navy, man, I went to a general court martial.
Okay.
Yeah,
and what is that?
That's
like,
mean
for
like,
people that's not
so
Navy?
I mean like general court, like going to a discipline thing where somebody accused you of doing something, right? I'm very transparent. Somebody accused you of doing something, and then the Navy send you to a uniform code military adjuster, a court martial.
Okay.
So
is that kind of like a prison?
Kind of like a prison.
Okay.
Like going to court in the military, man.
Gotcha.
So I'll tell you this. You can look this story up, man. So I was an officer and two other officers, man. We were accused of raping this young lady, accused us of rape. You know, I'm very transparent with you, right? And so, man, to show you how they treat us so bad, brothers, that they sent us to a general court martial, right? General court martial, meaning we were facing prison time. Come to find out, brother, the guy who did the DNA test, he made the DNA fit her story. Just make me look guilty.
Yeah.
Which was like, that's crazy because I know I've never raped anybody. That's not who I am. That's not the way I was raised. And being that, brother, I came from a predator sexual assault, I would never do that to someone. So, brother, went to a general court martial. They allowed me to retire because I had 18 years in. So I did my other two. I retired in 2003 from the Navy. I had an attorney, brother. 5 years later, they found this same guy. Those guys we call it the brig in the military, who's in the brig for this guy falsifying DNA records. Think about this.
Yeah.
Falsify. If you go and Google my name, Roger A. House, in U.S. Navy, you can see this story.
We'll put that in the reels.
Yeah, this guy, man, he falsified DNA records. And to find out, he falsified the DNA, and my DNA was nowhere to be found. Came back, and we found out from my attorney, bro, there was a lie. Which I knew was a lie.
Yeah.
I knew it was a lie. They do
but
so
nobody care about the truth.
Nobody care about the
bigger,
truth, man. That's why we talk about this. People that things go through every day, brother. People have no idea things when they look at me and think, oh, this guy. Like, so, bro, if you go look up Roger House, United States Navy, you Google that, the whole story will come up.
Yeah, gotcha.
This guy falsified it, and then come to find out, bro, of course, I knew I wasn't guilty of that. None of us was guilty of that. But he has done it to so many other people in the military who, I had a civilian attorney who couldn't afford a civilian attorney, brother. And this guy, I don't think nothing ever happened to him.
Yeah.
My attorney, John Wells, pushed this and pushed this and pushed this. And had it not happened to someone else, they had to go back and retest
all the other ones.
All the other DNA exams. It was maybe 100 cases, but this guy had done that to people, man.
Imagine how many lives
I don't think,
ruined.
and think of how many lives were ruined. Think how many guys who actually did time in the military brig based on this guy's false DNA work. And why would he do that? Nobody knows. Because
nothing happened to him, you said?
No, nothing happened to him. I think they let him retire, actually. I think look at the article.
I know that never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, you look at the article, brother. I think they allowed him to retire. That never happened to him. So it's a case where NCIS and this guy were working together to make the story fit what her story was. It was a lie.
It's crazy.
This guy falsified DNA in that general court martial for me. And also think about all the other men he had done that to.
Yeah.
Some who was in the brig based on his DNA. who finally got out, and then the Navy didn't make this right for me.
Yeah.
I got a chance to retire, but I was going. I got selected for another rank, but they let me put it on because of that.
Yeah.
Never paid me any back pay. I get my retirement pay now, but bro, that was one of my darkest days in the military, man. You can Google that story and look at it and see it, man.
I could only imagine, and like you said, imagine the other lives ruined. Like that's just beyond crazy. But at the same time, not even surprised that happened. And it's kind of remind me of the Central Park 5. It's like you got exonerated, but that time still ticked. Like you still lost that time. It's no amount of money, nothing they could even give you to still make up for that. But it's like at least do something more than just like, yo, that's crazy, bro. Yeah. So hey, I didn't know that one.
It's funny the way that you equate. It's the same thing. Those brothers went to prison, and I feel sorry for those brothers,
and
man.
A lot happened in them prisons,
a lot happened in those prisons, those brothers, man. For me, I didn't go to the brig. I retired. That was the 2 years of my life, man, being in my last year from 2001 to 2003 of my time in the Navy, man, dealing with that.
Yeah.
For 2 years, brother. And then come to find out, this guy not only falsified my DNA report, but falsified other sailors, Marines' DNA report who got sent to the brig, and nothing happened to this guy.
Yeah.
Nothing. I thank God every day for my attorney, John Wells, man. That guy, man. I thank God every day for him, man, for sticking to it and dealing with this case, man. After I had retired from the Navy, man. That was my dark days, man. I had some good days in there, but the good days were way better than that dark. Those are 2 years of dark times in my life, brother.
Facts, and I'm glad you said that. The good days were way better than those 2 years of the dark days.
Yeah.
And I know you said was it another story that was like crazy?
Yeah. Then I would say the other story, man, was which I'm not very like. I was on the USS White Plains, and we had a main space fire. And one day we was mooring, I think, to Singapore or Thailand, and there was a bad accident where people lost their lives, man, lost limbs and stuff, man. That was another dark day, man. So, you have some good times, but you have those dark times. Those are times you rally around people who, that brotherhood, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That brotherhood.
Got you.
And with that same brotherhood, I want to equate to us as brothers, man, when it comes to our mental.
Yeah.
When it comes to our emotional, man. When it comes to sharing, our hardships, man, and being vulnerable with one another, man. That's what I want to get to, that part there, man. And well, hey, I can share my story with Trey, with Xavier, with Durrell, and you take my story, man, being vulnerable, and not make me feel less than, not make me feel guilt, not make me feel shame, but hey, man, I share my story, brother, because I want to save another brother, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to save another brother. I want another brother to go get the help we need. And what we do, what we talk about as men, we talked about this. Yeah. We talk about money,
women,
cars, women, houses. Where the next set of money gonna go? Trips. Nothing of substance.
Yeah. And we about to talk about it, bro. I'll tell you, I got it all
already. We there,
so
bro. We got number time.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Before we even leave the Navy part, and correct me if I'm wrong, and like I said, I want you to say another great moment, because I don't want people to think this is just a dark episode and we only focus on the dark, because it's about seeing the dark, but focusing on the brighter side of it and looking at the value within all of those. So before you do that, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, and if you want to share, and I may be mixing up stories, I think when I spoke to V, and don't quote me on this, but I think when I spoke to V, it was a moment where you had to witness a friend actually kill somebody in Iraq or something.
Different guy.
Different.
No,
okay,
yeah,
different.
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
different one. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, and I just know that's another mental battle, because I always wanted somebody that was in the military or in the Navy in any capacity to come on, because this a whole nother. I know PTSD is real, and I think it's not talked about. We obviously see how this country has done veterans repeatedly. Obviously, you see how they did you in the Navy, exactly. So imagine the people once they get out, the amount of respect they get. So I'm glad. I just wanted to cover that.
Yeah.
But so being that we covered that, I want to go next to after the Navy. What did you transition to after you retired?
Yeah, after I retired from the Navy, drove June 30th, man. Drove from Memphis, Tennessee to Atlanta. Started working the next day on July 1st. Started working for the state of Georgia.
Okay.
I was the deputy director of the Vital Records Department, man. And man, it was tough. And the reason it was tough because you got to realize that my father was a military guy. I came from a house with a whole lot of rules and regulations, so the military is easy for me. You close your mouth, do what you got to do, and you move forward. So I started working for the state of Georgia for about 13 months as the deputy director of the Vital Records Department. Had a lot of people under me, man. I had to learn that the civilian world is quite different from the military world.
Nah, facts.
and different. I said different, man, because in the military, if somebody outrank you, in my days, changed now here. If they ask you to do something or recommend you do something, I tell you do it, no questions asked. Where in the real world, I have to realize that's not how it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's not how it is, man. Like, there's different rules, and not saying you ever disrespect someone, but people just different.
Yeah.
You know, and so
especially in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
So it was tough to gauge. I worked there for like
Mm-hmm.
13 months, met some amazing people, man, who do some great things for the citizens, constituents of this state when it comes to Vital Records. Left there, man, 13 months later, guy by the name of Bob Taylor, who's the owner of Axion Corporation. You know, he was the owner, so he hired me to come and work for him on August 30th, 2004. At the time, he made me a sales guy. You know, I was living 2 weeks in Washington, D.C., 2 weeks in Atlanta. I did that for 3 years, you know, helping him grow the company, build the company, man. You know, having those, life always goes back. We talk about relationships. You know, we talked about you got to talk to people. The T stand for T-A-L-K. The T stand for trust. The A stand for access. The L stand for like, and the K stand for know. Trust, access, like, and know. I got to trust you. You have access to me because of V. I think we like each other, and we're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
So in those situations there, and that's what sales is all about, and life is about relationships, man. So I did that for 3 years for Bob at Axion Corporation. Then on February 1st, 2007, he sold me the company. He sold me the company. I knew we could make it successful, man. So I started bringing in brothers, sisters, shipmates, Navy guys. When I say brothers, not just black and brown people. I had to bring in people who I know, I like, and I trust. You know, bring people in to help me grow this company, man.
Correct, yeah.
And so we did like government contracting, man. You know, things like basic staffing company. I always say putting warm seats, putting warm butts in cold seats, man. You know, you're staffing. We did everything like our clients with MARTA, CDC, down here locally, City of Atlanta, Sandy Springs, City of Roswell, man. And so we grow and giving people opportunities, man.
Yeah.
And then up in Washington, D.C., our clients was like Department of Education, HUD, Ginnie Mae, Department of Commerce, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, the Army bases up there. You start talking about Walter Reed, you start talking about Bethesda Medical Hospital. Those are our clients. Goes back to relationships.
Yeah.
We got to make them our clients because like trust, access, like, and know. I know you, I trust you, I have access to you, and we built the company, man.
Yeah.
We built. God blessed us, man, to build a great company, bringing people on, and did some great things.
Yeah.
You know, right here in Atlanta, man.
Yeah,
And I love
correct.
it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I didn't know exactly what the company was, and I wanted to ask that because I know on the phone you told me y'all built it. You sold it for 56, or you did 56 a year?
We did 56. We did. We didn't sell. Wish we sold it for that much.
Oh, okay.
Our revenues got to be 56 million
A year.
We sold it for a nice little profit.
Okay. Yeah.
God
We're
bless
gonna
us.
keep that disclosed. That's the. We're not gonna be too transparent.
Yeah.
I got you. So cool. So during this process, even with this, when did, after the Navy, obviously, do you feel like, obviously the Navy helped you in some capacities, but at the same time, did you feel like it fueled putting down those other emotions, and now you're doing all these great things, you're building a great company, $1 million company, and now at the same time, you're not really focusing on the inside. You're doing all this thing, you're running. Did you feel like that assisted, or do you feel like it did more damage?
Oh, definitely more damage, man.
Okay.
More damage, bro. Because man, I was running from my childhood trauma.
Correct.
I was running from things that I need to get help for. I'm running from how I'm masking all this pain because I never got help for it.
Correct.
And I'm sure in the Navy I could have asked for help, but I didn't know how to ask for help. And then it goes back to the fact, Darrell, man, that as a man, as a black man, we've been taught and told therapy is weak. You know, you go into therapy, you go into counseling, oh, that's weak. But that's trash. That's not the case, man. But so I grew up with that thinking, hey, I can't go ask for help. And so what I do, I started masking that with what? Alcohol, women, drugs, you know, because I wanted to feel better about myself. And having people around me because, you know, as Brother Xavier said, I need that validation. I need a validation from someone else. I need someone to validate me. So now what am I doing? I'm getting these people around me to validate my crap, to make me feel like I'm somebody because I didn't feel good about myself.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't feel good that I was good enough. And it's funny when I say that because people are like, oh, man, Rod, you got this, you got that, you live here. None of that stuff means nothing, man, when you're broken inside.
That's a fact.
Bro, I was broken inside. I'll go all day, be hyped up, man, by winning a contract, being around my boys, being around women I shouldn't have been around, drinking, partying. And then when I get by myself, I was crying like a baby. So I emotionally broken, bro, because I got to put this front on for everybody to make them think I'm good enough. I make them like me, you know, Darrell, make them accept me, you know, because deep inside I couldn't share my feelings. You know, it's funny. It's not really funny, man. It's comical because I talk about this all the time. I had a lot of brothers who were my friends, but were they my friends? And sometimes that's on me. I didn't think I could go to them and be like, man, I'm hurting. Man, when I was 5 years old, I suffered some childhood sexual abuse. And again, when I was 9 years old, how would they feel about me? I gotta be rah, 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 rah. I gotta be this guy, this man, because I didn't know how to share my feelings, man, with another black man, you know, with another brother, man. They say, hey, man, I'm hurting, man. That there was a bad day. You know, because what we do, we keep it inside, man. We suppress it, man. We mask those feelings, man, until the point we find ourselves using drugs, using sex, you know, using cocaine, using marijuana, whatever, to mask those feelings because we're afraid to share them, man. We're afraid to be vulnerable, man. We're afraid. The biggest thing is being vulnerable, man. Like, I tell my story, man, because I want to save another young black boy, another young black girl, another teenage black boy, teenage black girl, another middle-aged young brother and yourself in your 20s. Hey, man, I don't want you to go through what I went through, man. So I share my story, man, not for praise, because I want to meet one, teach one, and let somebody else know, man, it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. You know, man, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to go get counseling. It's okay to talk to someone.
Correct.
You know, it's okay. It's just a stigma in our culture, man, that we shouldn't do that. And so, man, I suffered for 50 years of my life because I didn't have an outlet, man. I had nobody to talk to. I had nobody to share this with. I had nobody who looked like me that I can go to, supposed to be my boys and my friends. And man, and that's on me too. The rest on me. Maybe it worse than maybe I didn't feel comfortable. Because what do we talk about? Well, we always talked about cars, women, sex, houses, money. We never talk about those things, man, that really matter, man. Because now me, I'm transparent, man. I talk about things that matter, and I'm okay with it. Like, I don't really care what somebody feel about me anymore. Trying to make me feel less than I am, because I know who I am now. I never felt I was good enough, brother. Never felt good enough before. You know, never felt I can go to somebody, man, and share my story and ask for help. You know,
and now it's a different day, and bro, I'm glad you just said all that, because even with that, I want to go into that some. Like, I know we talked about the overindulging, and so when did obviously the addiction start? And I'll let you say what the addiction was, and we can go in, because I don't want to cut you off, because I see you in your flow, so I definitely want people to feel it.
Bro, I would say.
And sorry, this was at the same time while you was building the company.
While building the company.
Okay, so functioning addict. Okay,
functioning addict. Functioning alcoholic. Functioning addiction.
Okay,
but it goes back to it. I don't know being in the Navy for this, but I'm gonna go back to like when it started, man. When I was in the Navy, man, it was I would say encouraged derail, but it was okay to have a drink at lunchtime. You know, it was okay to go out and party and let loose. You know, you're on a ship, man. You out to sea on a ship for 3 or 4 months at a time. On deployment, you know, you saving your little coins. You hit a port, what the first thing you're gonna do? Go drink, look for women, party, blow off steam. Because you've been cooped up on this ship for, you know, how long? A month, 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, you know, without hitting different ports, man. So I would say, man, me personally, I would say my alcohol addiction to alcohol and stuff, and think I was partying, having fun, started when I was like 20, 21, when I was in the Navy. And 20 years of it, man. It was 20 years of me thinking, hey, man, we having a great time. We're going to party. We're going to drink. We're going to chase women. We're going to have sex. We're going to have a wonderful time. So mine, I would say, man, started then with the alcohol. Because in the military, zero tolerance for drugs. You know, ain't no smoking no weed. Ain't no doing no cocaine. Or you will get your butt sent home real fast. You know, zero tolerance. But alcohol was acceptable, man. So I would say mine even started, you know, then. Started then. You know, to my overindulging started then. Because it was accepted. You know, it was okay. You know, it was okay to do that and things. Started then. And then, so I would say, man, once I retired from the Navy, so now here I am, you know, as we grow in this company, man, I'm what you might call a functioning addict, a functioning alcoholic, you know, because, bro, people be like, man, not you. Oh, yeah, me. Because, bro, people are like, oh, Raj, I didn't know you was on cocaine. Well, you didn't do cocaine. You know?
Cocaine etiquette.
Yeah, cocaine etiquette. You talked about that. Yeah, Darrell, you said that, man. So people who know, so I was a functioning addict, man. I would get up every day, grind during the daytime, go to meetings, man. People had no idea. Go to meetings, working. When that meeting's over, go drink, cocaine, women, 2-3 days a week, man, just going, because that was my way, bro, of masking the pain.
Correct.
Because remember, I hadn't got help for this pain. That was my way of masking, my childhood trauma.
Correct.
And it's funny, when I was in therapy, Darrell, man, I always talked about everything goes back to your childhood.
Correct.
Everything, man, goes back to our childhood. What it's like having an absentee father, what it's like we think being poor, what it's like living in the hood. And I still do this all the time, man. Living in the hood and being poor wasn't a bad thing for me. Because what's what I had? I had a whole lot of love, man. I had unconditional love where I can go to the house next door if my mom needed some sugar, some detergent, and you get one of these days on Instagram, the houses are poor. They had to borrow this. These days, everybody posting something, saying it was a village, man.
Yeah.
And it takes a village, man, for us to be there for one another, man. And so it was like, hey, if I needed something, my mom said, go down to Miss Amma's house and tell her I need some sugar. I need some detergent, whatever you need. And we did that, man, because it really before Hillary Clinton said it, I lived in a village, man. I lived in a place where I could be safe and be okay to be protected. Even though those two things happened to me, I was protected in other ways. I knew I was loved, man. I knew I had love in my house, in my family. I had some amazing parents, I knew I was loved, brother. So, and it goes back to what I was saying. So I would say, even as I start growing the company, man, now I'm in Atlanta. Now I'm what you call a functioning addict, a functioning alcoholic from all the addiction and the pain I was dealing with. That's how I masked that pain. I masked that pain.
And before we even go even deeper, let's talk about that because, like you said, you started off as an alcoholic. That's the start, and I want to say that because I think people just jump to hard drugs. I don't think you just jumped up. You don't wake up today and be like, I'm struggling and I'm gonna jump on cocaine.
Yeah.
So it starts with alcohol, starts with weed, and it gradually goes up, and that's the psychological standpoint I want people to understand. Like, and I just want to shout this out. Shout out to Snoop Dogg because I know he just said he's gonna stop smoking, but that's a whole nother discussion. So talk about the introduction of cocaine. How did you get introduced to it?
Yeah, I'll never forget it, brother. I'll never forget it. So you're right. Because I started as an alcoholic, drinking all the time, and then there's many of us, man, who don't know we're alcoholics. Because there's many of us who think that, I can drink 2-3 drinks at this bar and go somewhere else, drink 2-3 more drinks, and we're done. Because alcohol is tricky. It's very, very tricky, man. It's funny in rehab, we talked about how cocaine, alcohol, all that stuff is very tricky. It make you think it's your friend, but it's tricky. And most people who do have problems with alcohol, man, don't really know it.
Yeah.
Because it's so acceptable, to go out. I'm going to go out and get smashed and I'm going to go out and have some drinks, I'm going to get on the yak.
Correct.
I'm going to drink the 1942. And it's been perceived as being something that's cool. And not everybody has a problem with it. I knew I had a problem with it, but I didn't know I had a problem with it. Because it was so acceptable and so common in my life. When we get with my boys, let's go out and drink. Let's go out and get smashed. Let's go out, man, and think we're having a good time. It was really, for me, I was masking pain, brother.
Correct.
So I never forget, man, the first time I did cocaine was April 30th, 2015. Brother, I'm good on dates and stuff, especially on significant things in your life, because remember I said when I was in rehab, they make you write down the top 10 traumas and events in your life that got me to rehab.
Correct.
So, brother,
certain days like that, you don't forget.
You don't forget them, man. I was out in Las Vegas, Nevada. It was the first Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. First fight. Went out there with some people I shouldn't have been out there with. And so one young lady goes, oh, man, Raj, man, forget this drinking stuff, man. Let's do some cocaine. And me being simple and me being that I need somebody's approval, I need validation, I'm like, hell, that sounds good. I pull the money out. She go gets it and come back. Next thing I know, 2-3 days later, we still doing cocaine. We didn't even make it to the fight. That was my first introduction, man, to cocaine. And no ill joke of it, man. It's a hell of a drug that I want nobody ever try. When Rick James said cocaine's a hell of a drug, he was not lying. And don't go test that theory. And so, bro, from then on, I was addicted to cocaine for the next 5 years to the tune of $10,000 a month. Now, I wasn't snorting $10,000 a month of cocaine by myself. I was freaking dead,
People making face expressions because you first hear the story. It's like, it's crazy. It's not a laughing matter, y'all. Just a trigger warning. But yeah, I got you. Go ahead.
Because people say, oh, man, that Mother Hubbard wasn't doing no $10,000 cocaine. No, I was a sponsor.
Yeah.
I was spending the money for the people around me because I needed that to make myself feel good about myself, to feel better. So I'm snorting, and I got all these people around me, preferably women who shouldn't even be around. I'm a married man who shouldn't be in my butt, to make myself feel good about myself and to make me feel like I'm that man, I'm that guy. That's what I needed, Darrell. I needed people to tell me I'm great. I need people, oh, Raj, you're the man. Oh, Raj, you're great. You're this guy. Let's make this happen. Where's Raj at? Because I was a sponsor.
Correct.
I was a sponsor, brother. You know, no people didn't give a ham sandwich about me, man. They cared about what they can get at that time from me in those relationships, those false relationships. But at the time, Darrell, I didn't know any better, you know, because I needed that, you know, because I had so much insecurities, man, in my life, so much pain, so much suffering. I hadn't even got the help that I needed. You see, I didn't know where to get the help I needed, man. I didn't know who I can go to. And it goes back to this, brother, telling you, man, that people always say to me, I say this all the time, oh, Raj, man, I said this before, I didn't know you was on cocaine. Of course you didn't. Cocaine etiquette. You ain't know you don't do cocaine.
Yeah, only like cocaine know who do cocaine.
Only cocaine knows who do cocaine.
Makes sense.
It makes sense, man. So people, you have no idea who's addicted and who doesn't, man. And so I look up, man, 5 years later, here I am, addicted to it, brother. To the tune of, and God, think about the grace of God, man. 3 years ago yesterday, I was gonna commit suicide.
And we definitely gonna talk about that. But as far as, and I'm glad you said at the beginning, I'm glad you said that you were spending 10,000 collectively or whatever. It wasn't you just doing it, because I don't think people understand that, because I wouldn't have known that. Because when you first told me, I'm thinking like, how much is $10,000 in cocaine? Like, how can you smoke that? I mean, not smoke it, but how can you snort that in a month, every month? So I'm glad you clarified that, because that's what I thought too. And I think it's good to educate us on this too, because it's somebody out there that may be dealing with this addiction right now and needs the help, but don't know how to ask for that help. And I ain't even gonna say a cry for help. It is a cry for help, but don't know how to take out that verbal piece and be like, yo, like, I need help. And I know you did that, so I want to talk about that before we even get to the suicide, or I guess it plays a hand in hand. Yeah. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So man, it was November, the morning of November 18th, 2020, 3 years ago. The day is my COVID. The day is my 3rd year anniversary of being sober.
Congratulations.
You know, and so thank you, brother. And so I remember, man, being in this hotel, doing cocaine, drinking, all kind of people around. I thought I was having a good time. Everybody having a good time. And then, man, everybody leave. I'm just by myself crying. I'm just broken. I'm there, brother. I'm just crying, man. I'm crying, you know, broken, because I'm realizing, man, I don't want to live like this. I'm like, what has my life become? Because nobody really know the depths of where I was at of being broken, man. Nobody. You know, man, no matter how much I would do, whatever, I always got to know where I was at and took my daughter to school. I was funny. Here I am thinking about this, being high on cocaine, drinking, and going to pick my daughter up to take her to school, still from that. Then going back to where I was the night before, brother. You know. So finally, man, I'm there, you know, 3 years ago, you know, Founders Day, November 17th, you know, and by myself. Then coming to be the morning, November 18th, in this hotel room by myself. Now I'm alone. You know, the cocaine's gone, everybody's gone. You know, something's there, man, just crying, man, like, how did I get here? You know, what happened in my life so dramatic to get me here, man, where I'm by myself? I leave that hotel, man. I go to my wife. I say, Jen, I said, but I need to get some help. I said, I need to get some help real fast. And so she's like, oh, Raj, I know you probably drink too much. You probably party too much, but won't you wait till after Thanksgiving? Won't you wait till after Christmas? Your birthday's Christmas. They wait till May 3rd. I said, Jen, I'm telling you, man, if I don't go somewhere and get some help today, I'm not going to be here Thanksgiving, Christmas, my birthday, and New Year's. That was my breaking point, bro. You know, and I don't think she really know the severity of it, man, how severe it was.
Because she never knew.
She never knew. She knew I would drink, but she never knew I was out. Can you imagine? I might not spend that kind of money on cocaine. Man, you crazy. I'm married to a woman, you know, and so, you know, it's like, can you imagine, you know, that? You never knew. And because, let's tell you something about us addicts, man, we're conniving, we're liars, we're cheaters. Ex-addicts. And, well, and we want what we want, and we know how to get it. We wanted what we wanted, and we know how to get it. And then you put resources into that, and even make it more of an access thing too, Darrell, more of an access thing. So she really had no idea. She knew I was drinking and partying, but she didn't know to what degree, what extent. So then right then, man, we started looking, we were crying, emotional, because I said, Jen, I was going to take my life. You know, I was going to really take my life, man. I found out when I got to rehab that they were like, "No, Mr. House, well, you weren't gonna take your life. You're pretty arrogant." And I know I am pretty arrogant about certain things, and I think a lot of myself. But did I think a lot of myself? In public, I did, but I did in private. You know, I was hurting, man. And so it was saying, not you want to commit suicide. And I'm telling people, man, you ask for that help. I didn't want to live like that anymore, Darrell. I didn't want to live that life anymore. That was my breaking point, you know? And then it's like, man, I was so broken that I want to leave like that and leave my wife and my daughters in that kind of pain, man. The pain. People who commit suicide, we never think about the pain we leave our loved one, people leave behind, man. So like by the grace of God, man, I just went, you know, I went home and I remember telling her, I said, hey, I need some help, you know? Yeah. And then even back then, Darrell, I never thought I could be vulnerable with my wife, man. Because what are we as men? We think it's our job to protect our wife, our significant others, our family. I always felt, man, I got to be that guy. Yep. And we don't have to be, man. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help. And brother, I didn't learn that to rehab. So my wife and I, we started looking for places, man, for me to go to rehab and everything, and still thinking like an addict. I saw this place called Center for Professional Excellence in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. But Darrell, I was like, man, I am not going to Tennessee in the wintertime. Yeah. It's cold, gonna be outside. I'm not going to Tennessee. Yeah. So I saw this place called Journey Pure down in Panama City, Florida. I said, I'm going there. Because keep in mind, Darrell, I'm still thinking like an addict. Yeah. I said, man, you know what? I never thought in my life I'll be sober, I'll be off cocaine. My thing was, brothers, that I'm going to go somewhere for about 30 days, relax, reset, and come back. And I can still do cocaine and drink and everything and be with people I shouldn't be with and party and hang out. I just needed to reset, rebalance, man. We know they call it, I need to reset, rebalance, rejuvenate myself, man, get back. I never thought I'd be sober. So then, brother, I never forget, my father-in-law came over, some guys who was really good friends of mine came over and said, hey, man, just take care of my family. And my father-in-law, hey, we got it. 2 or 3 of my good buddies came over, man. We cried together, man. I get emotional about it now. We cried. We shared things, man. And they say, man, go get the help you need. So I went down to this place in Florida, brother. And tell you something about rehab and about getting help you need, man. Insurance is crap. Because with insurance, you can only be there for 30 days. And then they say you can re-up, or we'll see that can your insurance pay for 30 more days for you to be there. So you go to most rehab place. I went to a place that's co-ed. Mistake number 1. Because I was thinking like an addict, you know, Darrell, bro. Think about this. I'm going to a place where I already have alcohol addiction, cocaine addiction, sex addiction. Why would I go to a place where there's women there also? Because I'm still thinking, because I'm broken. I'm thinking like an addict, man. So I get there, brother, man. I see this place, man, and I said the average age of the person at this place probably was 28. You know, at the time, I had to be 54, 55 years old at the time. And there's probably a couple other guys who were like in their 50s and 60s and stuff. So, man, I don't smoke cigarettes, never have. Cigarettes, not my thing. So, you know, you got people having, you know, snapping back at the counselors, you know. We go into group therapy. They put me in detox for about 3 days, but they'll let me out to go to some of the group classes, man.
What is detox?
Detox is where they put you in this room and you have access to nothing else. No. They give you the pills at night. Detox is where, man, they're trying to get the drugs out your system.
Out your system. Okay,
detox your system, man. So they put me in this room and detox, man, to help me start, you know, getting this out my system, man, the cocaine, the drinking and stuff. But they'll let me out at night. They'll give you pills to help you get through the night, man, help you get through. So then the daytime, man, you have a group. They let you go to the group session. So, man, when we're on break, I'm walking around the building because I'm thinking, Darrell, brother, man, what the hell have I done? You know, I'm not going to survive 30 days here. Yeah. What have I done? You know, and so, man, you only been there 3 days. So, man, this amazing nurse, man, this sister, man, she came and said, hey, Mr. House, are you really serious about being sober? Do you want to, you know, not do cocaine, not drink, get the help you need? Are you serious about it? And then she said, wait for your answer. Are you really serious about it? Because most of the time, like I said, I went down, man, for a reset. I went there to get recharged, reset my body, my mind. Then I come back, I get things under control. Because I had no idea, brother, I was that far gone, man. I was gone. So I said, yeah, she said, I tell you what, there's this place in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, show how God works, man. I saw this place called Center for Professional Excellence. And she said, It's only men. Hint, it's only men, and they only take 10 people at a time. 10 people at a time. So I go, yeah, you know, she said, I'm gonna make a phone call. I don't know if they'll take you or not. She and the head counselor called the man, called them up. They interviewed me, told them my story. Military, where I grew up, college, you know, company, all like that. It's all right, Mr. House. They got a waiting list. We got a waiting list, and you know, we don't know if we can get you in or not, but we're gonna have a meeting and we'll call back. Right. So where they had that meeting, man. So I'm still like there, you know, like, you know, trying to figure out what have I done, you know, this ain't the place for me. Am I gonna survive 30 days here? Now I'm thinking about leaving, just come back to Atlanta. I'm not gonna survive here, man. That was a Wednesday, man. That Friday, bro, they called me back that Thursday. Like, hey, Mr. House, we're gonna make a spot for you. You're a veteran. We're gonna make a spot for you. We're gonna move you up. Be here on Monday.